We're just ordinary people living ordinary lives until we see someone on TV win a $25,000 prize. Come on down. I'll play any game for 10 seconds of fame. Come on down. I'll make a deal, just let me spin the wheel. Come on down. To win $1 million, all you need is a little luck and thorough knowledge of multiple disparate trivial subjects.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Come On Down. I'm John Baker.
I'm Jonathan Montney.
And today we're going to be talking about Wheel of
Fortune!
That's the name of the, that's how they say it.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Wheel of Fortune. You can do it with anything.
Yeah, you can. You really can. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Pizza Planet.
Well, that one didn't work that well.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm very excited to talk about this game show. I have not watched it in a very long time.
You haven't?
Until the last 24 hours almost straight.
Oh, wow.
And
It's a big day.
It
It's a work
is
day.
exactly as I remember it, and that is not a bad thing at all.
Okay, good. I mean, spoiler alert for people just turn it off. They're done.
It doesn't change.
The show?
Yeah.
Modestly. There are modest amounts.
I
of
mean,
changes.
it looks better with nicer cameras. That was the only change I could see.
It's more HD now. There's more pixels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before we get started, you're playing with some paper over there.
Oh, yeah, we do have another sponsor.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, we
A
do.
real one?
A new one. Yeah, isn't that weird? We can never get the same sponsor to come back. It's always got to be a new sponsor.
Yeah.
You think because they
actually,
hear us?
So every sponsor that we've had so far has gone out of business, has filed
Every
Chapter
single
11
one.
Bankruptcy within 48 hours?
Like almost immediately after the podcast.
Yeah, and I mean from when we record it. I don't think a single sponsor that we have aired has existed at the time that the episode aired, unfortunately.
No.
So terrible investment for them.
So nobody can use
far.
the Come On Down code.
Yeah, nobody. We've got
I guess that makes sense because nobody's ordering it.
Zero total renewals, and that's not because nobody listens to the podcast. Because trust me, nobody listens to the podcast.
Okay.
But also, they're the websites have been down before they were able to log on and use it. So
Well, that's sad. But this is a tried, true, and tested sponsor.
okay,
And they're probably
confident about this?
almost probably going to be in business.
okay, better than 50-50 chance.
Well, no, I wouldn't go that high.
Okay. All right. Let's tamp down our expectations a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see who this sponsor is and share some info with all of our listeners.
Sure. Starts with you.
All right. Today's sponsor hails from Alaska. Alaska is known for three things: marine product exports, metal ore exports, and suicides.
That's right. And to combat the paralyzing sadness, our sponsor, Grill Yourself, brings some sunshine into the Sunshine State.
I thought California was the Sunshine State.
Don't know why, because Alaska receives more sunlight in spring and summer than any other state.
You're right. That makes sense. Your brain is bigger than mine. Anyway, it can be depressing to live alone and cook dinner on a huge grill meant for 8 to 10 burger patties.
It's just another reminder that you're shuttered in emotionally and physically.
Not anymore. Grill Yourself is a solo-sized grill meant for only one burger patty.
You won't have to think about the lack of personal connections in your life when your meat patty fits perfectly and fills the entire space of this grill.
And for all the visual people listening, just imagine a grill that looks the exact same as a regular grill from the bottom, except it funnels into a tiny heated circle perfect for one burger. So it's big. It's like
With the wheel.
at the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's an outdoor thing.
Correct.
It's got
Yeah.
wheels at the bottom. It's like 46 inches by 30 inches.
It's a similar awkward
at
grill
the base.
size.
But then it's like a pyramid situation.
Yeah,
It
funnels
pyramids up in a reverse funnel sort of thing.
Correct.
And then is a circle. A burger-sized
For
circle.
one patty.
For one patty. Okay. Sorry, I got to keep reading my line. It even has the cover still. What? So it's basically a waffle maker, but for a burger with a giant bottom, wheels and all. Okay. All right. So the cover, I guess, means like the lid. You
Yeah,
close the lid
yeah.
on it like a press. All right.
Come On Down listeners get 15% off their order with the code Come On Down.
What a deal. So remember, as winter approaches and seasonal depression creeps closer in an already mentally exhausting year, don't kill yourself, grill yourself.
Wow.
Wow. So what they did here was they took the approach of this is specifically for people in Alaska, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's facing.
Well, no, it's not for.
So it's anybody
just
with like
because
seasonal affective
this came
disorder
from Alaska because it's such a.
Oh, okay. So it's very
issue in
depressing there.
Alaska,
Is there a high suicide rate in Alaska?
It's the highest of all 50 states.
Is that true? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I mean, I guess they know
Because you live in Alaska.
yeah.
You're.
Okay. Fair. I guess they know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. It's yeah. I guess it's just an interesting approach to promote a grill via suicide. Or suicide prevention,
Right.
I guess.
It's for
So
a
noble
specific
cause.
type of individual.
It's a noble cause. Yeah,
And
it's
I think
almost.
we should start calling Alaska the Sunshine State.
It reminds me of a much more unwieldy George Foreman with suicide.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay,
Is there like a suicidal sports announcer that we can? Oh, Dak Prescott. Didn't he come out and say he
Jesus
is?
Christ. No, he said he's struggling with depression because his brother killed himself.
Yeah.
He's also not.
But
an
he's
announcer,
still
a
struggling
player.
with it. The brother doesn't get all the spotlight in that.
Okay. All right. Well, I guarantee they are not going to be in business long based on what I've seen and discussed so far. All right. So as we mentioned today, again, thank you to our sponsor, Suicide Grills or whatever it was called.
Grill yourself.
Grill yourself. Today we're going to be talking about Wheel of Fortune. Mm-hmm. Now, here are some things you might or might not know about Wheel of Fortune.
Didn't start with a wheel.
What?
Did it not start with a wheel?
No, it did.
It always had the
the
wheel.
wheel. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was in the name.
I was just throwing out.
Okay. Yeah, so it debuted in 1975.
70s.
Groovy, right?
Man.
So it was created by Merv Griffin, who he also created Jeopardy.
Yeah, he sounds familiar.
He also had the Merv Griffin Show, a talk show that he hosted for, I don't know, 2 decades maybe or so. He also, there was also that episode of Seinfeld where Kramer found the set from the Merv Griffin Show in a dumpster and then recreated it in his apartment.
That's great.
And did a or a talk show with Jerry and friends and neighbors and Newman and etc. Classic episode.
Yeah. Not puffy shirt, but still a good app. Is
Sure.
what it sounds like.
But yeah, so it was created by him in 1975, and he got the idea because he remembers he loved playing hangman when he was a kid on road trips with his siblings. So I mean, the game is basically hangman,
Right.
at its core.
And can I say, what a perfect game to couple with the sponsor.
Hangman? Yeah, that's true. Wow. I mean, I guess that's why they reached out. They specifically asked us to do
For
an
the wheel.
episode of Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
So yeah, that he thought it was a fun game that he played growing up, and he thought there was a way he could adapt that into a game show. He also really liked roulette wheels in Vegas casinos.
He's an avid gambler.
Yeah, of course. And so that's where the wheel came from. It was based on casino roulette wheels, and they actually worked with Caesar's Palace to create the wheel for the show.
That makes sense because it does have a flashy.
It's blinky, and there's lots of lights on it. It makes noises, and it weighs 2,500 pounds.
Wow.
Do you know what that is in stone? Do you know how many stones?
In stone?
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to say stone is 500 pounds. So, I don't know, 5 stones.
Yeah, a stone is, it varies a lot. It's most commonly 14 pounds.
14 pounds.
Yeah.
Are you saying like, is that a unit of measurement?
Yeah, like in the UK, they'll say like, oh, I weigh 10 stones.
And you
or
said
10
it
stone. I don't even
varies?
think they
What a
pluralize
weird use of measurement if it varies.
I don't know. They're a weird group of people over there in Europe.
We might have
historically and across national borders. It has varied from like 5 to 40 pounds.
Okay.
What a stone means.
sounds like a terrible unit of measurement.
Well,
but okay.
the only reason that it's terrible is because if something's 80 pounds and somebody's like, "Hey, I'm coming over to pick that thing up. How much does it weigh?" And they say, "Oh, it's about 2 stones." You don't know if they mean 10 pounds or 80 pounds.
Yeah.
So that could be confusing.
Like,
and
do I need to bring a
problematic.
friend?
Right, exactly. Is this a partner lift situation?
Partner lift.
That's what this says on the boxes for
Partner lift?
for
Large appliances and stuff?
appliances and stuff. Yeah, partner lift. You have to actually be in a domestic
Relationship.
partnership
But to lift it.
in order to lift it.
Wow.
It's like the power of love, I think, that
That's like the third. That's
that's the
okay.
third lifter.
That's like when you see the picture of the footprints in the sand. And it's
With
Jesus,
yeah.
but the spirit of power.
Jesus, why did you leave me? And then he says, "No, my son, this is where I carried you."
Yeah.
That's love.
Is that what he says? No, my son, this is where I carried you?
Yeah, because,
because
there's
you
two, and
think
Jesus
that
is like, "I was
you were-
walking
you were
alongside you," and he's like,
abandoned
"Well,
by
why'd you
your-
leave me right here?" And then Jesus is like, "Hey, I carried you right here, motherfucker. Show some grace,
That does sound like something
gratitude,
Jesus would say.
gratitude." That's
Show
the
me
word I
some
was looking for.
grace, bitch.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, so the power of love helps lift the appliances. Got it.
yeah. So anyway, it's a big heavy wheel. So he went to NBC, Merv Griffin, and he said, "Hey, I got this idea for a show. It's like Hangman, but there's a wheel, and you get monies for each one that you guess."
Was that his
properly."
actual pitch?
That was his pitch.
It sounds like he care from somebody if he was like,
I found his original PowerPoint deck.
he did a PowerPoint in 1975.
Yeah, he did a
Cool.
PowerPoint deck. He was a pioneer, like I've said.
I can tell.
And so that was what it said actually. And he took it to NBC, and they said, "Oh wow, that's great." And there was a woman who was in charge of their daytime TV. She was vice president of NBC programming. She looked over all of daytime TV, and her name was Lynn Boleyn. And Lynn Boleyn.
That's not a candy that a child eats.
No, Lynn Boleyn. Lynn space Boleyn. She was the vice president, and she said, "You know,
Thank you for telling me where the space was, by the way.
I
It
just
could have easily been Linbo.
right. It wasn't Limbo.
Olin.
Her name is Lynn Boleyn.
Okay.
She was tragically beheaded by her husband years later for treason. And so Lynn Boleyn said, "I think what would make women like this show more is if there was more shopping involved in it." This is true. This is true.
And that came from a woman.
This
We
comes
need to be
from a
clear.
woman. This is
that
not-
came
this
from a
wasn't my
woman.
thought. This wasn't my. I disagree with this. I think this is regressive and bad.
I agree. I think it should be theft.
Right. Yeah, I think people should be looting.
Right.
And so she said, "I think there needs to be more shopping involved." And so there was. Initially, they filmed a pilot, and the show was not called Wheel of Fortune in the pilot. So in that case, you were kind of right about there being no wheel. There
Okay.
was a wheel, but it wasn't in the name.
Right.
Because the show was called Shopper's Bazaar.
That is a better name.
It's bizarre, and it's not a better name. And so they filmed a pilot. It ended up never airing. The show was reworked a little bit, but it still included the shopping portion of the show.
Did the first part also include it was still Hangman plus wheel?
So there was no like actual hangman.
So
it was
just
it was
wheel at
still
this
always
point.
just guessing the letters to try and fill in
Oh, okay.
the puzzle. But that was kind of the origin of it. And again, when it came out, so you're winning dollars. So you spin the wheel, you land on a dollar amount, and you guess a letter. If that letter is there, however many times it appears in the puzzle, you get that multiplied by whatever dollar amount you landed on.
Yeah.
You can buy a vowel when it's your turn for $250. And
There's the shopper part.
that's part of the shopping right there. You buy
Okay.
vowels for $250.
Okay.
And if they appear there, you only spend $250 once. So if there's 7 E's, it only costs you $250. That's not multiplied. But if they're there, you maintain your turn and you can still spin the wheel or buy another vowel or solve the puzzle afterwards, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
And anytime you get it correct, you maintain control. You can spin, buy, solve. So,
That already right there is a better name, by the way.
Spin by Solve?
Spin by Solve.
All right, we are going to make a knockoff version. That is an iPhone game developed by a company in China with a lot of microtransactions, and it is going to be called Spin by Solve. And I just said it right now, which means it's legally copyrighted.
And we have already had patents pending, so don't even try.
Patents are pending, and we'll see if we can get Suicide Girls to sponsor it.
It's called Grill Yourself.
Oh, sorry, grill yourself. So, once the puzzle is solved, the person who solved it wins all the money that they accrued in that round. So, obviously, we know there's a bankrupt on the board. If you land on that, you lose all your money from that round. You back at zero. It's on to the next person's turn, whatever. The minimum amount you can win in a puzzle is $1,000. So, if you bankrupt, for example, and then it goes to the next two people and gets back around to you, and now you know what the puzzle is, you can just solve it and you get $1,000 when you win it.
Okay.
So you don't have to spin if you're
These were
nervous.
all rules from the inception,
Those were all rules from Inception.
so nothing has changed.
Right. Nothing has changed, basically. Wow. So, but in between rounds, there was the shopping round. So you didn't get that money in cash. You got that in credit towards prizes that were in the little shopping store of the show.
Oh, it was Dave and Buster's.
That you exactly. You took your tickets, they weighed them, and you said, "I don't know if that is the most reliable way to count these tickets. They're so light that scale can't possibly
Right.
be accurate to the point where I'm getting full value for my tickets here."
Sure.
So you took your money over there, and there were prizes, and you bought stuff with them. What you could do, and this was weird, you could bank money. Like if you were like, "Oh no, the giant Porky Pig stuffed doll that I want
That the eyes do not line up in the stitching.
right is $3,000, and I only won $2,500 in that round." You could bank your money and take it back with you to the next round and hope to win the next puzzle and more money. But if you bankrupted, you lost that $2,500 as well.
So you could have gotten 40 different Tootsie Rolls, or
Right. So
risk it to try and
so
get
you
the
just end up
porcupine.
with a little ring pop instead. So you that was how it worked, and that version of the show went like that for several years with the weird shopping portion until the
and this was in the show.
This was in the show Wheel of
specifically
Fortune.
because a VP was like, "We need women to watch this show,"
Yep.
and they like shopping.
they love shopping.
Okay.
So I mean, she tried to get the show to be called Shopper's Bazaar. That didn't work.
Yeah.
So they kept the shopping element in there. And God, my mouth is doing that noise.
Are you not? You know,
I'm properly hydrated. All right. I've done my stretches.
What stretches do you do to combat
This.
dehydration?
ASMR.
We're losing listeners
this is-
every
this is-
time you do that.
ASMR is really big right now.
Not that type of ASMR.
What do you mean?
Let me tell you what type of ASMR is popular. It's young girls on YouTube that play with makeup stuff. That's what's popular. Do you
Like
want to know
they-
why it's popular, John?
They opening.
Do you want to know why it's popular?
Because people like the sounds.
No, not really.
Because people like makeup.
I do get the tingles though. Have you ever listened to ASMR and gotten the head tingles when you do
No,
stuff?
I've gotten annoyed and thought this is stupid and dumb. I hate this. Why is anybody doing this?
So do you know when people play with your hair and you kind of get like your scalp kind of gets the tingle?
Yeah. Or that thing. What's that weird spiky thing that
Yeah,
you go?
it looks like it's gonna cut your head open, but then it bends at the last second. And you're like, "Oh, I'm orgasming
You
on my
think you're
head."
about to get a like a lobotomy, a multiple lobotomy,
Or like
all
battle-
over,
not
like
Battlestar-
like I'm a Kennedy daughter or something like that.
Yeah. What was the movie that was initially ended up being a parody? It was about all those giant aliens that would come out and they would throw a cone into your head and suck your brains out.
Oh,
Starship
Starship
Troopers. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that, but without the brain sucking part.
Okay, you know what? Maybe I'll try listening to some more Asmer. So that was eliminated from the show in the early to mid '80s. They decided.
It went for 10 years.
I'm telling you, the shopping portion lasted for several years, very oddly. And the reason they finally removed it was mostly because
Women were like, "We don't like this part of the show."
women were like, "I shop every day. I'm sick of it. I don't need to shop and then come home and see people shopping."
Right.
No, they mostly eliminated it because it was a bigger tax burden on the people. Because if they got multiple prizes versus just giving them cash, it was less of a tax burden for them. So
That's the dark part of. That's like the dark side that nobody talks about on game shows. Like, oh, you want a car? Sweet.
you
owe
so you actually owe
$20,000
money now. So a lot of like sweepstakes and stuff now, and I don't know about game shows or if they necessarily advertise it, but when you win, like there's this thing on HGTV that I enter twice every day to win a house. And so you win the house and it's like valued at $1 million or something like that.
Where's the house?
This one's in Maine. They do.
You would move to Maine.
No,
So what would you just like Airbnb it?
probably, yeah.
You would get $1 million house and then you would Airbnb it.
Right, because I got it for free, so it's all profit. But anyway, the point is, they do these
You
several
have to
of
pay
these.
someone to come and clean it. You don't live in, you live so far away from Maine.
Right, I'd figure that out. But
What's your full? I want to hear your full process. What is your full walkthrough? If you win this house, what are your next steps?
all right, so if I win this house, well, first of all, I've got to look at, because they don't show you like the actual address of the house. They say like kind of generally where it is. And you know, they show video tours and things like that.
Do they say it is in the $1 million range, or you're just throwing that out?
No,
like
they say it's valued at like $1 million, and it's all like HGTV'd up. They've had
So it's,
their
like, super
people,
nice.
yeah, and it includes all like the furniture, and they put in all the smart sensors and whatever, and you know the landscaping and fire pit and all this really cool stuff.
Okay.
So the plan is, so I've got to figure out where it is to do some research on the property values in that city, in that neighborhood,
Sure, they're
etc.
great.
Because there's also a cash option, but like they'll say, so you win.
Lump sum or
Yes.
Okay.
So there's, you win this $1 million house and $100,000, because that's what I'm saying, that that's how they help you with the tax burden, is they also give you cash.
okay.
So that you can use that cash to pay the government the taxes that you now owe. So, which that cash is also taxed. But anyway, so, but the cash option will be $750,000 or something like that. And they're saying it's $1 million house. So you've got to consider, is this house actually worth $1 million? Could I actually turn this house into $1 million? Might it be a better idea to take the cash option, since I'm obviously not moving to Maine to live in this house anyway?
Yeah. I mean, could you just take the cash option in the house and then just sell it?
So, well, you can take either the cash option or the house.
No,
so you
I
can
mean,
take the house and then
100,000
sell it.
plus the house.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think you get the 100,000 even if you take the cash option also. So you get whatever 750,000 plus 100,000.
Okay.
But yeah, so you could do that. But again, that goes into the research of how much is it going to cost to sell this house? Are there $1 million houses selling in this area frequently? Is that something that's viable?
Yeah.
You know, so it would require some research to make that determination to decide whether that's a good idea or not.
Okay.
Which is why my default is, oh, that would be a nice little vacation house to go to for a couple weeks a year, and then maybe Airbnb it the rest of the year.
When it's like 110 degrees in Texas.
Exactly.
Take a couple weeks.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's my plan there. But yeah, that was how they did the shopping round. They got rid of it. But as you know, Wheel of Fortune, Pat Sajak and Vanna White, they're synonymous with it.
I mean, name a more iconic duo.
Abbott and Costello.
More iconic than that. Batman and Robin, maybe.
Ooh, Batman and Robin's a good one.
Superman and his cape.
I don't know if that counts as a duo.
But they're always together.
No. Well, I guess.
Dude, he's always wearing it under his clothes.
Okay, yep, that makes sense. He rips off his suit and he's got that cape just flowing immediately.
Do you imagine like walking or like standing behind Superman in like an elevator and it's just like
bunched
billowy.
up? Because he's got to have it tucked into his pants also. So he's got to get pants that are 2 inches bigger to make sure that. And then here's the real problem is the legs. It's got to bunch up by his ass.
Yeah, and he
because it
probably
can't
wore
go
like,
down the two legs.
And baggy pants weren't a thing in the whenever Superman like 50s 60s I think is when he was created.
Right.
Well, I don't know,
I think
I
it was the 30s. But
Was it 30s?
I think so. But I mean, the best time for Superman was the 90s because Clark Kent could just wear Jenkos.
Jenkos, dude.
Obviously.
For sure. Superman wore Jenkos. And can you imagine like watching Superman try and run with Jinkos on to a place where he can change out of his Jinkos.
Superman is running down the street with his soaps and his
He's grinding on curbs.
yeah, and he's got his wallet chain.
Why was there never a 90s Superman?
I don't know. There should have been a Superman that had a 9 Inch Nails t-shirt on at all times.
Oh, man.
But so it's like we were saying, it's synonymous with Pat Sajak and Vanna White.
Yeah.
They weren't always there, it turns out.
Yeah, right. You're lying to me now.
I don't ever lie to you. But Chuck Woolery was the original host of the show.
It's a strong name.
It is. So he went on to later host Love Connection and Scrabble, which was a game show.
He would go over to people's houses.
He would just narrate. You could have him come over. It was kind of like Cameo before the website Cameo existed. You could just, pay him to come over and narrate your
like $20
Scrabble games. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
narrate your Scrabble games.
So Chuck Woolery,
he would probably just turn into a mediator because Family Game Night usually ended in conflict.
He had to tell you whether he actually just had a dictionary and he was looking up whether it was a real word at all times. He was the dictionary checker. So Chuck Woolery, he was the original host in 1975. He was the host until 1981, and the original hostess was a woman named Susan Stafford. Her qualifications were she was hot, and so she could stand there silently on the TV. And
that was the one qualification?
That was the one qualification. I feel like calling them host and hostess as they're officially titled is a bit generous, because Susan Stafford, or now Vanna White, does almost no hosting duties whatsoever, never really opens their mouth.
Right.
Kind of just stands there and flips over the letters.
How many steps do you think she gets in a game? I'd say like at least 500.
Probably around there. It depends how many, because she's usually walking back and forth. She stops on one side, then she does something, then she stops on the other side. She never doubles back. Although sometimes they light up in a weird order. Have you seen
I've absolutely noticed it. And she knows where they are. So she'll kind of stop in front of it expecting it to light up, and it doesn't. So she's like, all right, I have to go back, I guess. Yeah.
But
do you think that's what the first girl, Susan Stafford, you said?
Susan Stafford,
Do you think that's why she lost the job? She would just stop in the middle and turn around.
She's standing in front of it, and they're trying to solve it, and she's blocking like 6 letters.
Susan, can you? Yeah, you're the only Susan. Yes, Susan, can you please move to the left?
Yeah, so Susan Stafford, she was the original hostess until 1982. So there was 1 year from 81 to 82 where it was Pat Sajak and Susan Stafford together.
Ooh. And that just, they weren't vibing.
And then, they weren't clicking. They had, different things that they were interested in. They had, different politics and things like that. It just wasn't going to work out. And so Susan Stafford left the show in 1982. And then they had submission. They had people submit, like hundreds of people submitted auditions to replace Susan Stafford.
Men and women?
I mean, this was a different time. Let's remember. Again,
and men can't be pretty.
I think the qualifications were be a hot woman.
Okay.
And so Vanna White was amongst the 3 finalists that were chosen from these hundreds of submissions. There was Vanna White, who was a model and pageant winner, which was also what Susan Stafford was. There was also another person that was a model and pageant winner, and then there was like a Playboy centerfold. So they all had roughly the same qualifications for being on TV, which was be attractive. And the 3 of them, like, each filled the role for 2 weeks, rotating.
They did a live little test.
Yeah, exactly. So they each got to do it for a couple weeks in 1982, and Merv Griffin felt that Vanna was the best at flipping over the letters.
The best walker
of those 3. The best.
Okay, so she did the best
at properly. Yeah, the best at properly flipping the letter over.
You think one of them was punching, and they're like, "It's audiences don't
really
like
aggressive with it.
Way too aggressive."
Yeah, so that she was a good letter flipper, so she won the job, and she was a big hit like immediately. Particularly,
the hot woman on TV was a big hit immediately.
Well, particularly amongst young girls.
Oh,
Like,
because they had something to aspire to.
they kind of idolized her and her outfits. Like, it was a big deal. Like, there was a phenomenon that was referred to as Vanna Mania that was young girls and young women who were just like obsessed with Vanna White because, oh my God, what's she going to be wearing today? And then guys who didn't really care about what she was wearing,
also
but wanted to see
what she was
her.
wearing that day.
Exactly. So that's how we got to Pat Sajak and Vanna White in 1982. It is 2020 at the moment of recording this.
Yeah, correct.
And we still have Pat Sajak and Vanna White.
We do.
On Wheel of Fortune.
If there was anyone else that filled those roles, I would revolt.
Wow. Like,
from being
against
a
the
human.
government, or
No, from being a human.
against humanity?
Against humanity.
So you would side with the brain sucker aliens from...
Absolutely. And I would go around and I would be a serial brain scratcher, and I would just have those two things in my hand, and I would just go up to people unsuspecting, and I'm just like,
And they go, ooh, that feels really good. Thank you. Thank you. You can stop now, though. I'm good.
that's enough. That's like one of those things that you buy because you're like, oh, this will be cool, and you use it once. And
Oh,
you're
like any sort of thing from Brookstone or
Exactly.
the Sharper Image?
exactly.
Yeah. Or something that you get from a white elephant gift.
Yeah, why do we do white elephant? I don't understand. I just don't understand. It's like one of those traditions where you're like, it's tradition. It's like you invited me into your club and then you spanked me as hard as you could. How is that?
What kind of white elephant do you do?
Oh, I travel around the country and I do white elephants at frat houses.
Okay. And so there's a whole initiation
They're like,
process
dude,
beforehand.
who are you? What are you doing here? This is like an exclusive club.
And then
I'm
you
like,
get paddled.
And I get paddled.
Okay. And do you get any tchotchkes out of the deal?
No.
Oh, wow. You're doing it way wrong. I think that's
I'm
your
just
problem.
traveling around the world to get paddled. I think I just realized that right now.
All right. So, Wheel of Fortune. It started as a daytime show in 1981 or 1979, somewhere around there, late 70s, early 80s. There also became a nighttime version as well. So there was one of each.
Was it like where Pat Sajak would wear a bikini or something?
Yeah, it was real kinky, the nighttime version.
they wore like BDSM.
It was like after 11 o'clock on Comedy Central where they're allowed to swear.
Pat Sajak
and
is
stuff
like,
now.
That was a fucking dumb choice.
Dumb fucking guess. X? How many times is there going to be a fucking X,
Why
you
do
idiot?
keep guessing X.
So, yeah. Todd, this is the fourth puzzle in a row that you've guessed X.
Well, who brought this guy here?
So they were doing double duty on both of those. In 1989, Pat Sajak left the daytime version so that he could host his own talk show, The Pat Sajak Show. In 1990, he stopped hosting The Pat Sajak Show at the request of
Everybody,
yeah, whoever watched it. So that show didn't last very long. He was not the next Merv Griffin in that.
I get that because his voice is soothing. He's a fine-looking man to host a show, I think. But he is the most boring person, it
Wow.
seems.
I hope he doesn't.
Which is fine
watch this.
for the show because, like, as a host, you know, I think you can take two routes. You can be personality, you know, you can be Alec Baldwin and laughing and joking and bigger personality.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can just fill the role of the individual that moves the show along.
So do you know what Pat Sajak's job was before it was host of Wheel of Fortune?
Kroger bagger.
Los Angeles NBC
Detective.
weatherman.
Okay. Yeah, I can see him being a weatherman.
Yeah. So he was a weatherman, and Merv Griffin...
Which is like one of the most irrelevant jobs in the world.
Wow.
You know how
This was 1979.
You know how else I can check the weather? I can go outside.
In 1981 or in 1981, you didn't have a phone.
Do you know
or
the
an internet.
probability of weathermen? Do you know what it is of them getting the weather right? Weathermen and weather women.
It's probably
Is it
about the
weather
same
women?
as any of our sponsors
Weather women sounds
existing
weird.
by the time the episode airs.
Yeah. Do you know what it is?
I no. Do you have a
13%.
Is that factual?
No.
Okay. So you just weathermanned your answer to this one.
Oh, I just weatherman myself.
Is that Isn't that a Nick Cage thing? Wasn't that the Weatherman?
Yeah, he wasn't.
that a Nick
You know what's
Cage
funny?
movie?
Yeah, it's so weird you say that. John and I watched National Treasure last night.
How was it?
I mean, it was the most fun movie I've ever seen.
I need to watch it again.
It's bad. I mean, it's not bad. It's goofy,
Right.
but they use actual
They use the actual Constitution for most of the
correct, and
Declaration of
they
Independence.
also use actual factual things, pieces of history to weave into this
Right.
ridiculous.
So have you like joined the stonemasons or the Illuminati or anything since watching it? Wasn't that a big thing? Like it was like the Masons that left all these clues.
I can't talk about it. We need to go
Okay,
back to Pat
okay,
Sajak.
sorry, I'm asking too many questions.
You are.
So this year actually it's pretty relevant of us to be talking about this show right now because just a few weeks ago it was Pat Sajak's 38th year as host of Wheel of Fortune.
Okay. Well, so he does not look 38.
No, it was his 38th year. He started hosting it as a baby. He was a weatherman in his mother's womb.
Gonna be another wet day. Also, somebody, I don't know who, keeps eating barbecue, and it hurts me.
Well, so that was his 38th season. Started earlier this year. Breaking
Bad.
oh no, good show. Breaking the record for longest host of a game show in history.
No way.
Previously held by Bob Barker.
Trebek? Oh yeah, Barker.
Yeah. So Bob Barker did The Price is Right for 37 seasons. This is the 38th season
Wow.
for Pat Sajak to do Wheel of Fortune.
But who has the highest count of dogs neutered?
That would be Bob Barker still, I think.
That's what I thought.
But yeah, so big year for Pat,
That's
setting that
huge.
record. This is also the longest running syndicated game show in American history.
Yeah, totally believe that.
More than 7,000 syndicated episodes. And before it was syndicated, because like I said, it started on NBC as a daytime show in 1975, and that ran until like 1991. So for the daytime version, there were another 4,000 to 5,000 episodes.
What? Why go over 2,000?
Because people still watch it. People still like it.
But if people are watching, they're not going to remember 2,000 episodes. So just keep playing them on shuffle mode.
Because there's sometimes timely stuff in there, you know?
Like what?
Like sometimes...
Is there a Corona version?
I mean,
Is there a Corona specific one?
They're filming right now in Corona World. So they've got Pandy specials.
With no audiences, right?
I believe with no audiences.
But they're still clapping when the wheel goes.
You have to. You have to
I
have them
totally
clapping.
agree. You have. If that was dead silence and you just heard the click, 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 I wouldn't like.
Have
the show.
you seen the Leslie Jones supermarket sweep
No.
that started airing?
No.
So I watched an episode, and there's for obvious reasons also no studio audience, which is so bad for the show.
Is it detrimental to
It's
the
so
enjoyment
detrimental.
of the audience?
They do throw in a laugh track here and there,
Okay.
but that's obviously done in post. So in the where they're shooting, you can feel the discomfort where like she's telling jokes or things like that, and she's only got an audience of 6 people.
Yeah.
They're trying to focus on playing
Winning.
a game show.
Yeah.
So they're not getting the best reactions from them, and you don't get that crowd energy transplanting itself into the contestants and the host. So it's really weird and kind of uncomfortable at times. And then the weirdest parts are in like the final rounds where they've got to solve the clue to find the next grocery thing.
Yeah.
So they changed it a little bit in this one to where you've got 45 seconds or whatever it is to get the 3 clues to find the thing.
Yeah.
And if you do, you win $25,000.
Wow.
But at this point, you can take however much time you have left and add 20 seconds to find one more clue that will give you $50,000. And then when you do that, you can take that and add 15 seconds and find one more clue for $100,000, whatever. I don't know how high it goes, and the people like find the third thing to guarantee that they've won $25,000 or whatever, and there's no like cheering or anything. They didn't even put a audio track of people cheering or anything.
Oh, wow.
It's just they're like, "Oh yeah, we got it," and it's like just dead air, and it's like, okay. And then Leslie Jones is over, like they put her over like a store intercom thing,
Okay.
to say like you can continue,
Like,
but if you don't get
We've
this
got
next
your
one, you
son
wouldn't
up
know.
at the front of the store.
Yeah, exactly. Missing child. So yeah, it's weird because of the no audience thing. But Wheel of Fortune doesn't need necessarily that level of comedy or energy.
No,
so
definitely not.
It's fine. But yeah, so I think, and also like you said, there's more pixels now. If you were still watching 90s versions, people wouldn't like that. People don't want to watch that stuff anymore.
I love crappier visuals. I will only watch YouTube videos in 240p.
Really? Mm-hmm. You click on the little gear and
I click on the gear.
turn
I
it
go
off
down to
of
the very
automatic,
bottom.
put it on
I keep
240p.
turning out auto off. I don't want auto 480. I don't want auto 480. I want 240p.
All right. So this is the show. It's been going on like this for quite a while. There have been some changes to modernize it over time.
Mm-hmm. Pat got a tan.
Yeah, I mean, he's
A very fake tan.
He's had some work done.
Mm-hmm.
But Vanna's definitely had some work done,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine.
Really, I wouldn't have guessed it.
Just like
That shocks me. She doesn't look like,
no, it's mostly like I
who's
haven't
the
seen
female comedian that had passed away? She's really funny.
Joan Rivers.
Yeah, it's not even close to that.
Yeah, no, it's not to that extent. She's just clearly had some like Botox and
Okay.
facelift type of
Got it.
stuff going on. But I mean,
I wouldn't put it past it if Pat Sajak did Botox too.
Oh,
He
for
looks,
sure.
His face looks
For
a
sure.
little
absolutely. But
Botoxy.
he's a little Botoxy. But there's been a few changes over the years, like just slight modifications for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Like originally there wasn't a bonus round at the end. It was
Oh.
just the winner won, and they took all the teddy bears that they got
Oh, interesting.
home with them. But they added the bonus round after several years, and it was for a long time there was WHEEL
Mm-hmm.
that you chose from at the end, which one you
Right.
wanted to be your potential
Each one was
prize.
a different prize. Yeah.
And it was, I think $25,000 was the big prize that you could possibly win from that. And you got one puzzle with, a set amount of time to solve it.
RSTLNE.
And when it first started, you did not get RSTLNE for the first several years.
It's
You just
so
got
hard.
nothing, and you had to guess 5 consonants and a vowel.
Yeah.
And it frequently ended up being RSTLNE because those are the most commonly used letters in the English language.
Yeah.
So they eventually realized everybody's pretty much guessing the same letters. So we'll give them that, and now you get 3 more consonants and 1 more vowel.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think like C and M are generally pretty good
Yeah.
guesses.
And they
for
said, I
additional
read something
consonants.
today that was like, strategy is don't guess what you want to, essentially. They know the most popular guesses, so they stray
Ooh,
from
so you shouldn't do
puzzles that
C
would
or M.
light
You
up
should be
from
guessing
a-
like H. And
They said H is a popular one, yeah, and C is also a popular one. It was like 10% of the puzzles, but it was still way higher
Right.
than like 3-4%.
Interesting. And yeah, if you get it right, you get whatever your
Selected
prize was. They changed that, I think, 10, 12 years ago or something like that, to where there's now a little wheel
Yeah.
with the prizes on it, so
Okay.
you don't choose one. And now there's also the potential for $1 million. So on the board for the first few rounds, I think it's removed after a certain amount of rounds. On the board, there is a space that is actually divided up into 3 from a regular size space that on either of the two sides.
All of these look like a pennant. Did you ever go through a thing where you had pennants all over your room
I
from
had
teams?
baseball pennants.
I had
like
so many
crazy.
pennants.
Every time I went to a game, I would get a different team's pennant, and yeah,
That's what it looks like. It's a wheel of pennants.
it is a wheel of pennants. But it also looks like that piece to me looks like when your wife is like, I just want one more tiny slice of pizza, and then you've got to like
It's a third of one slice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You've got to cut a weird tiny slice. So there, on either side, there's a bankrupt, and then in the middle, there's the 1 million.
And it's glitzy.
It is glamorous. It
looks
green and sparkly.
Mm-hmm. It looks like a dress that who's someone with red hair? Emma Stone would wear to the Oscars.
Ooh, she'd be hot in that dress.
Green looks great on red hair.
It does. All right, Emma, if you are listening and you need any stylists,
Yeah.
I think we know what we're doing. It sounds like.
I mean, just look at us.
Hello. But yeah, so there's the $1 million thing now. And if you land on the million, you can guess, I think it's worth $500. It's like as if you landed on $500 for the purposes of that round that you're playing. But if you get at least one, you then get that piece. And it is a part of your inventory now, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
If you land on bankrupt at any point for the rest of the day, you lose it. But if you survive with that million and you win the game and go to the bonus round,
Oh my god.
then the million is in the
you
little
still
mini
have to
wheel.
you still have to win the bonus.
You still have
round?
to spin it
Okay.
and land on it without knowing that you landed on it. So it is very rare and very difficult to
Yeah.
get the million. There's a
It
lot.
sounds
of things
like a
that go into
double
it.
zero on a
Only
roulette table.
I think it's only happened a couple times, but that is how you can now win $1 million. They've also, the most obvious change is that the game board is digital now. So
There's no actual spin. The iconic
Right.
block spinning.
like turning the block over.
It's
what
like when
Vanna
you
was so
go-
good at, what got her that job.
Yeah. It's what it's like when you go to a playground and there's the tic-tac-toe squares. Have you ever seen those where
Yep.
like you can play tic-tac-toe? Nobody ever does,
No, you
but they're
just
just
spin
fun.
'em.
You just hit the
Spin
shit out of them.
And that was what the two other women kept doing that they were competing against her. They go,
Hey, Pam, you don't need to chop the block.
it kept just landing back on the white blank side. So it was, again, and then she would just stand in front of it. But
Pam, everything you're doing is wrong.
You're just-
Literally everything.
you are not getting. Have you ever watched the game before? Do you understand how it works? So in 1995, a new producer came on board. And so what I learned, I assumed for whatever reason that like, okay, they must have 4 of these gigantic boards ready to go, and they like wheel them in and out
Oh, yeah.
when the puzzle changes. What they actually did was they had one big board, and they would do a puzzle, and then it would be like, okay, time out, and they would just stop everything for 15 minutes while the whole crew was up there
Oh, wow.
changing out to the next puzzle.
So inefficient.
Right. And so a new producer came on board and was like, hey, it shouldn't take more than an hour to shoot this 24-minute game show. We need to change this. And so in 1997, we had the technology at that point in time to make it a little digital touchscreen thing. So then Vanna only has to give it a little tap,
Yeah.
and it flips over to the correct letter, the correct side of it, because there's no actual mechanical flipping or anything at this point. And that has led to some bloopers of like her like tapping it over and over and
There's just nothing happening.
it not working. But I think
And
this,
Pat has to be like, he didn't get the letter right. There's nothing there. You can stop.
sorry, Pam, damn it. Why did we bring you back for another audition? Vanna's been doing great for 25 years. So that's the biggest technological change because I mean the wheel is still a big actual spinning wheel. Everything else is pretty much the same, except for the board is now digital.
And we're sure Pat's not a robot. That would be a huge digital change.
Oh yeah, well he's like an animatronic. Like have you been to the Country Bear Jamboree at?
It's so
at
smooth
at
every
Disney
time they-
World? Yeah, exactly. So the only two changes are the board is digital and Pat is an animatronic, and it is actually Pat Sajak's skin.
Oh God.
From when he died, it was like a.
So it's like Terminator. If you were to catch his forearm on something, or if he needed the key to something, he would rip the skin back, and there would be actual.
Yeah, exactly.
wires
It's like we've talked about before. They kind of just taxidermied him around an animatronic shell. So that's why he looks a little Botoxy. The skin is a little more stretched because the technology at the time that they made it, the head was a little bit bigger.
Right. His head does look big, by the way.
See? So that's pretty much the show. There is, much like Oscar Mayer, there is a wheelmobile. I don't know if you knew about this.
No.
It is a custom Wheel of Fortune Winnebago that drives around the country recruiting contestants for the show.
And the wheels are actual wheels from the Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
So it's
and
like
sometimes they stop at a
70-inch
stoplight.
rims, baby.
Yeah, and if they stop at a stoplight and land on bankrupt, they have to get out and give the car away to somebody else.
Who made these rules? You're making it so hard for us to recruit people.
There is a 2 in 24 chance because there's 24
We have to
spaces
be
on it.
on brand here.
Yeah, we have to be consistent. Consistency is one of the biggest keys, I think. But yeah, that's basically the show, and I think it's a good show.
It's a great show.
There's a reason that it is, again, the longest running syndicated game show in history.
Simple. People play along. I think they nail the amount of money they give away. I really do.
You see, you're often concerned about the prize money on shows.
I am.
So
I don't care that this one doesn't give away the million.
it can, though.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
Okay.
Statistically.
Right, but it can.
But I think it's because people walk away with $50K, and they can walk away with $75,000 plus a car. If they have a really, really good really good rounds or something. So I don't know. It feels like it's worth the time to play the game and show up.
And I feel like they have done a good job of little bits of things to modernize it as they go. And like with the digital thing, it allows them to do more puzzles in a show. So now they have the toss-ups where it does the...
Dude, they go through puzzles.
And just starts going boom, 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 as they start lighting up one by one and then somebody guesses. I think they have like 4 of those just at random points throughout the show now of the toss-ups. So there are a lot of things. I think Wheel of Fortune has introduced us to like before and after, I think is a term that I mostly associate with Wheel of Fortune, where you have a puzzle that's like...
That was the theme. They had different themes.
Right. Every puzzle has its own theme. Yeah. Like it'll be before and after, and the answer will be something like fried egg in the hole or something like that. It takes two phrases linked by a common last word or first word. So this I hate. There's one that they frequently use that is just phrase. And to me, when the category is phrase, what my mind is doing is going, okay, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush.
You looking at me?
Yeah, exactly. Whatever it is, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. I was watching an episode and it was phrase, and I'm trying to think, okay, what's a phrase? What's a phrase? God, what is this puzzle? Like, it was a really long one. I couldn't figure it out. My brain couldn't wrap my head around it. And finally, they get enough letters up there to where it can be solved. Mm-hmm. And the answer is, don't forget to pack the underwater camera.
That is a phrase I have used many times.
When haven't you? I mean, daily I'm using that phrase. Don't forget to pack the underwater. Most famously in The Godfather Part 2, where they say, don't forget to pack the underwater camera. Mm-hmm. I think that was Michael who says that. But yeah, there's some weird stuff about it that pisses me off like that. Also, it's just a hard game.
It is difficult.
But it's a hard game, but an idiot can play it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, because, at home, it's one of those things where I feel like, when you're really trying to, like, if you stare at something for a really long time, you're like, oh, how do I do this? What am I supposed to do? This doesn't make any sense. Well, and then you walk away for half an hour, and then you come back and you look at it and you go, oh, it's this.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what it must be like playing Wheel of Fortune, especially when you're in the spotlight on the hot seat there.
Yeah.
When you've got to solve the puzzle and you can't wrap your mind around what letters you're seeing and how they're spaced out. And especially when there's weird things like a 2-letter word that starts with O, and your brain might automatically be like, it's on, what on, blah, blah, blah. But it was or.
Yeah. It's crazy because that phenomena, which I totally agree with, happens to me every morning when I try and tie my shoes.
You don't remember how
I
to tie your
cannot
shoe?
for the life of me remember. I have to walk away I have to take my shoes back off,
Okay.
walk away from my shoes, come
For
back.
half an hour?
Yes.
Okay.
Put my foot back in, and I'm like, obviously it was this.
Ah, that's what it was. Yeah, so that's Wheel of Fortune. I think it's good.
I have some hot takes on how to make this better.
Okay, I was just gonna get into that. So what?
I would love to make this show better, and I think it can be done using these following additions.
Okay.
The letters are behind a 2-inch piece of wood, and Vanna White has to use a sledgehammer to reveal the letter.
Okay.
I think it would just be, first of all, should be jacked by like after one
Sure.
season.
Well, what if instead of that, what if it was like a plywood and she had to do karate kick it or something?
That's even better. And okay.
Okay,
and
what if it was a plywood and you had a karate master hold it?
it.
Like, you know how on Deal or
Fist
No
Way?
Deal,
Oh.
they have all the girls holding the briefcases?
Yeah.
What if every letter has a separate karate master
Oh my gosh.
with a piece of wood,
Yeah.
and you have to hi-ya!
Right.
You can chop, you can kick, depending on how
Yeah,
high
whatever
it
she
is
wants.
on the
It'll be
on the
like
board.
dealer's choice. Vanna's choice is what we'll call it.
Okay.
And she'll do headbutts
Ooh, that's a good one.
and elbows.
Okay.
Okay, cool. We made it. We made my better. We made my make it better.
We made better
it
better.
If you land on bankrupt, you have to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Yeah, you lose everything.
You lose everything.
Okay.
If you guess a wrong letter in a puzzle, and that same letter happens to be in your name, you have to legally remove that letter from your name.
So if you're wrong, so if I guess J O H or N and they're not in the puzzle,
Correct.
I become Jin now.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
You would just see a lot of more X and Y guesses. I
Because
assume.
people don't want to be wrong.
One episode, I think this is just a like special one-off episode. Vanna White is replaced with a white van that crashes into the boxes to reveal the letters, and it's a drunk driving PSA episode.
Oh, I like it.
Okay,
That's good for the
so
kids.
it's like, yeah, for the kids. People that spin the wheel too hard lose $100.
So if it's just spinning for too long,
Correct.
you get angry, you
Yes.
get frustrated.
There's
while watching
there's
the
like
wheel
a
spin.
it can spin for 5 seconds, and if it spins for longer than 5 seconds,
You lose money.
You lose $100.
Okay. Is that it?
That's my full list.
Okay. So, I mean, I look at this game. This has existed since 1975. It is the longest running syndicated game show in history. It has been hosted for the last 38 years by Pat Sajak. Vanna White has been the hostess for the last 37 years. It has maintained its rating success. It is a staple in many homes around America. Who am I to offer changes or suggestions to them?
Mm-hmm.
I'm John fucking Baker. That's who I am, and I'm going to tell you how to make this
Okay, I was
better.
going to say you're a host of a game show podcast.
So, I like some of your ideas there.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are a bit drastic,
Sure.
which is fine.
Hey,
Most of my
The
ideas
more
so far
drama-
have involved feeding people to sharks to improve the game.
it's accurate.
So I think yours are fine. I think the key here is I think you've got to wait out Pat and Vanna. I don't think you can make any significant changes with Pat and Vanna at the helm.
Okay.
We need them to die.
So you're
And I'm not
suggesting
rooting
murder.
for them to die, to
Oh,
be
okay.
clear. But I'm saying when they do, or retire, or whatever, when they leave the show. And it will, I don't know, I assume it'll be at the same time. Won't it be weird if one of them leaves and not the other?
Well, unless one of them dies.
Well, yeah, but isn't the other person like obligated?
And
at
then
that point?
and then so Pat dies, and then the new
Vanna
host
has
comes
to.
on, and Vanna's like every episode she goes, "You're not Pat."
You'll never be my real dad. I think I just don't think it,
I'm not gonna call you Pat, okay? Because my name's John. I don't know. It's fine.
I don't think that the show could go on with just one of them.
Sure. Okay.
Last year there were a few episodes. There was a few weeks Pat had a surgery, and Vanna was the host of the show for a few weeks. She
How'd that go?
earned the title of host for those weeks. And then the role of Vanna, again, I guess hostess is the proper term, but Nobody calls her the hostess. They just call her Vanna.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's a testament to how she took
right, that role is
and
the
made
Vanna
it.
role. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Like, you can say Pat Sajak is the host of the show. Maybe Vanna is probably more iconic because she's the Vanna of the show.
Right.
So Vanna was the host, and I think there was kind of a rotating cast of people filling the Vanna role, including I think Pat's daughter at one point, maybe Vanna's daughter. But they had
Maybe it was both of their daughters at the same time.
Whoa. No, Vanna had a boyfriend or fiance that died in the 80s.
Did she?
So she left.
Did she think his
the
head
show
was
for-
a square and she turned his head too far and he broke his neck?
Yeah, that was what happened. And so Susan Stafford came back for a couple weeks while she was,
Susan?
in mourning.
Better than Pan.
But much better than Pam.
Well,
Fucking Pam.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to wait till they're gone, and then you can make some changes. First of all, I don't think you can replace Vanna White for a few reasons. First of all, as we said, she's the Vanna of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So just from that aspect, she's irreplaceable, because that next person is constantly going to be compared to Vanna.
Yeah, of course.
Second of all, she's incredibly superfluous.
Okay.
We live in a world of technology where those numbers can turn themselves very easily, and it would save us time, and we could get more puzzles in there potentially, or more advertising, or more entertainment or something. We don't need to see her walking across the stage struggling to hit touchscreens every once in a while and the letters very slowly revealing themselves. If somebody says R, we can have all the R's up the board within 2 seconds because we have the technology to do that. So we don't need somebody to fill that role. In 1975, in 1982, when she took over, we needed somebody who could properly turn
Squares.
Yeah. To
Are
reveal
they
a letter.
squares? They're more rectangular, aren't they?
They're rectangle, yeah.
Okay.
We needed somebody who could do that. We don't need that anymore. We have the technology. And again, in 1975 with Susan Stafford, in 1982 with Vanna White, their main qualifications were that they were hot women.
Mm-hmm.
We can't have that be the qualifications in 2020 or later, I assume.
So you
later.
heard it here first, folks. John Baker doesn't want hot women to work. He wants the hot women of the world to be replaced with technology.
I want the hot women of the world that are hardworking and qualified.
Oh, Vanna's not hardworking.
Oh, God.
We
She's
just
really-
clearly said she works 500. How many steps do you walk a day?
more than 500.
But you're not a hot woman.
I'm not. That's true. I can't say how hard her job is until I've walked 500 steps in her shoes. All right. So I think once they're gone, you don't need a co-host or hostess anymore. It will just be weird. I think those
So if you were president,
Letters
your
are-
platform would be less jobs.
Jesus. We did the debate episode last week. The whole election thing is over. I mean, it's not over. It's who
unfortunately
knows.
not over,
I don't
yeah.
know when this airs, if we'll ever know if there's a president or anything. But
I say we do both. Let's have them both in office.
Vanna and Pat.
No. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I would happily do that.
I would settle for that.
Happily
I think
do
I would settle
Vanna
for
and
that.
Pat.
But yeah, so I think you just go
Can you
to,
imagine how long legislation and Senate meetings would be?
to
if
write a law. It's Vanna revealing one letter at a time.
this
randomly.
400-page law. We're not going to tell you though, guys. You know what time it is.
You got to guess what this law says.
E. Yes, there are 4,000 E's.
Also, you owe back taxes now because that's a vowel. So
So you're saying scrap Vanna?
I'm saying scrap the Vanna role.
Right.
Keep Vanna around for as long as she wants to
Okay.
be around. She's earned
Yep.
it. I say you scrap the Vanna role. You just have the board turn itself over. And you find a new host, whether that be a man or a woman. Mm-hmm. I don't care. Hot woman, ugly woman, fat, skinny, love them all.
Yeah.
So, honestly, preferably a woman. All right, I'm going to say that right now.
Okay.
We're taking a job away from a woman. I want to give a job to a woman.
Okay,
All
that's
right?
fair.
And then I think you can get a little crazy with it. I think it's so ingrained in our culture and in our minds that these two people kind of are that show.
Mm-hmm.
So I almost feel like you have to change more things up when they're gone. Otherwise, again, it's just going to be compared to
The old
the
Wheel of
old
Fortune.
thing. It's not going to be compared favorably because it never is, because we all have nostalgia goggles.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you probably need to change some things up at that point. The one thing I don't think you can ever change is having a big physical wheel that weighs several stone. You need to keep
Many stone.
many stone, depending on your denomination of stone.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need that, and it needs to be some hangman style fill in the blank type of thing. But I think you can probably tart it up a little bit in different ways, whether that be how the board looks or some of the things that appear on the wheel. I think you can make it a little bit more of a truth or dare spin the bottle type of elements onto the wheel. You can have some where you've got to do a dare before you are allowed to guess your letter or something. If you land on that, like you've got to do the chicken dance or something before you can guess your letter.
What kind of truth and dare episode did you play where it was do the chicken dance?
What do you mean?
I mean, dares are usually like you got to call your crush. You got to call your crush. You got to say you're a pizza man and that you love her and then hang up the phone.
Who did you play truth or dare with?
Oh, I play it currently with 13-year-olds.
Oh, I see. I'm like a single player gamer, so I mostly just played by myself.
You just dare yourself to do things?
Yeah.
That's just you getting through the day.
Yeah.
Dude, I dare you to wake up right now.
Yeah. I usually lose that one, and then I have to tell the truth, which is annoying. But yeah, so I think you can mess with it a little. Like I said, I'm kind of shying away from specific suggestions because of the respect that I have for Pat and Vanna and what they've accomplished.
Yeah.
And I think they're great. I think the show is great. I'm going to give it 4.5 buzzers.
Wow. I'm going to go 5.
5 buzzers.
This is a perfect game show. I could watch episode after episode after episode, and that's a testament to this show because nothing has changed since 1982, but the puzzles are new each time. The spins are different. Sometimes you get someone with a little bit of personality as a contestant, but usually you don't.
You don't. It's not always necessary.
No,
it's just shut up and guess the letters, please.
Right? Yeah, correct. Let's get through a whole bunch of games today. The introductions are super fast.
Yep, I don't need
Pat
to know.
Sajak is good at moving stuff. I mean, he is like, he's perfect. He's like the pace car in a like Indy 500 race. If the pace car was also driving 200 miles per hour.
Wow. Okay. So he's
I
right
guess
along
he's just
with him.
another racer.
But he's always in first. He's the guy who's really good at
Yeah.
IndyCar racing, and everybody
Correct.
else kind of just follows him. Yeah. So Merv Griffin hired him because he said he watched him on the weather and he had an odd sense of humor, and he liked that.
Okay, yeah.
And
he does have a very dry, quick
and the
sweat.
producers were like, "No, this is a weatherman."
Yeah.
And Merv Griffin was like, "I quit if you don't hire him."
Wow.
So that was how Pat Sajak got the job.
Pat Sajak owes him his life.
Yeah.
I
And
guess
so
he was doing fine before
Merv
him.
Griffin is dead now, so I don't know if Pat
So
Sajak,
maybe he killed him.
Oh wait, that's why we're animatronic at this point?
Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody piece this plot together a little bit better for me.
Yeah.
We can make it into a B movie. But
That's
yeah,
already been done. Jerry Seinfeld did it.
Okay. Vanna, here's one little fact to leave us on. Vanna White's favorite puzzle of all time. The answer was supposed to be Gone with the Wind. This was in the 80s. It was supposed to be Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
And I guess there was, an O, an N, and an E up on the board, and a D from Gone with the Wind. We're all up on the board. Or maybe not the D, whatever. But the person answered, done with one hand. And Vanna White started cracking up out loud on the show.
Yes.
Because I assume the category was
Movie.
movies or literature or something.
Yeah.
And he answered done with one hand. And masturbation jokes are always funny in all circumstances.
Right. And Vanna White would know she's constantly using her hand.
She does it all with one hand.
Yeah.
So, congrats to Vanna on your fabulous hands, on protecting those investments. Like, what if she broke a finger?
If she broke a finger?
Yeah.
And they're
she's
just
done.
like, you're fired.
Yeah, you're fine. Those are the money
She's
makers.
like, I can heal.
Those
My
are the
hands
money
will be
makers.
good in like 6 weeks.
We're bringing in Pam.
Get Pam back in here. Pam comes in with boxing gloves. We're like, fuck it. Just let her do what she needs to.
Yeah, so that is Wheel of Fortune, the longest running syndicated game show of all time. It's a good one, and that's why it's the longest running syndicated game show of all time.
Well deserved.
All right. So this has been Come On Down. Check us out on Instagram or Facebook at Come On Down Show. Go to comeondownshow.com or email us at comeondownshow@gmail.com. Everything's kind of uniform. It's all Come On Down Show because Come On Down was already taken. So we had to put the show on the end.
Come On Down was already taken?
Yeah.
Oh, Come On Down Show. That's what you have to do. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's got a show at the end. So remember that if you need to reach out to us. And until that, we will talk to you guys next week.
Grill yourself.